Welcome back to the Electrify podcast, brought to you by the creators of Electrify Expo, North America's largest EV festival, coming to a major city near you. All right, we have the pleasure of somebody who has good faith, literally and figuratively, because he has good faith energy. He's CEO of the company. If you would introduce yourself and just, I want to get the quick. Anybody who's clicking on this is educating themselves on not only EV and electrification, but also applying that to your home. But who are you? What is your company? And what is your message?
Yeah, well, hello everybody. Hi, Jarod. It's great to be here with you guys this afternoon. Super excited for Electrify Expo next week. We will be down there full force, ready to electrify the world, starting with Texas. But my name is Mohammed Mo Abdalla. I am the founder CEO of Good Faith Energy. We are an electrical contractor that specializes in solar energy, energy storage, and load management, which we can get into at some point during our conversation. We've been in the business for about 10 years now. Our number one focus is to honestly provide the number one customer experience in a solar purchasing experience, which is really hard to find in this industry. But we've really built a name off of doing what we believe is in the best interest of our customers. So yeah, that's kind of where we're based out of Dallas, Texas. We're about a 60 employee company, and we can't wait, like I said, to get down to Electrify next week.
And that's it. Thanks, Mo. That's all the time we got. You absolutely did exactly what you're intended
Peace
to
out,
do.
y'all. Y'all have a
Yeah,
good one.
it's been real. And you know, with just technology and innovation, right? And just looking at your website and just talking about your messaging, it seems very slick. It's good. You're a Tesla certified installer. I think this all speaks to obviously not only your business, but also innovation and progression. Because I know just over the years, I know like somebody came by our house years ago and says, "Hey, here's a solar water heater panel or this or that." And just with innovation, companies have to evolve. So I love the name Good Faith. I think that just speaks to kind of your consumer, what you're trying to educate people with. Are you exclusively just in Texas, or are you going nationwide as well?
We are just in Texas. There's 22 million people, Jarod, that live in the Texas
Yeah.
Triangle. It's a huge market. There's plenty of people that you can serve. We have had some good experiences doing some work down south in the Caribbean. I love the Caribbean. It's more of, I think, a hobby than it is a business and profitability factor. But we really think that Texas is primed to be a leader in the distributed energy resource space. And this is our backyard. This is where we've built our crews. It's where we service our client base the best. So we are heavily targeting the Central Texas region and pushing into Austin because it's just right along that 35 corridor. And so we've done some work, solar roof work in various areas of the state, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas. It's really where the market is where you go. But I don't think you'll see us installing in Louisiana or any other states.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
and you know that brings up a great point. Going to your social media, you break down kind of traditional solar panels or solar panels that we've seen in the past, and now with Tesla's, integration into home and residential and businesses. I will tell you, my good friend Garrett Marrero, who owns Maui Brewing Company, he runs his brewing facility off Tesla power. So again, if you're listening to this and you have a business and want to convert, and you're in the Texas state and in the area of my man Mo here and his team, sounds like this is a great option. And Tusky, who I have on the podcast here as a guest, with Chargeway, he just leads that. And I think just breaking it down, most recently, I got a homie who lives kind of in the Austin area, massive hailstorm. I want to get into that because that was something I found interesting because I golf a lot, and there's a funny meme going around of, don't have solar panels if you live on a golf course because just balls will strike and hit. And I also saw some old dude shaking his fist like, "You hit my house." He's like, "You live on a golf course. It's gonna happen," But talk about durability, especially of kind of what we've seen with solar, because this is, I think, a really good selling point as well.
Yeah, so let's touch on durability for traditional solar first. So
Mm,
um, traditional solar, 99% of the solar industry are utilizing what they call monocrystalline solar modules. These solar modules are made out of tempered glass. Usually, this tempered glass is 1 and maybe 5/8 inch thick. So that's thicker than your car's windshield. So you and I have all been in the car. Hopefully not, but when a
Yeah.
hailstorm hits, it's not necessarily just going to crack and come through and penetrate your chest or anything. Yeah, you need to slow down and maybe take some hits, from the
Mm.
hail. But the solar modules are going to be the most durable thing on your asphalt shingle roof.
Yeah.
The majority of people have asphalt shingles. If not, metal does withstand hail very well, as well as some other specialty roofing materials that 90% of people don't have. But your asphalt shingle is going to take a couple of hits from maybe a dime size, a hail, and next thing you know, you have 8 to 10 within what they call a square, or a 10 by 10, 100 square feet of roofing area. That's going to warrant an insurance claim. Now you're paying your deductible and dealing with roofers, and
Yeah.
who knows what other damage you have on. And typically, the solar modules are not damaged, but the roof around it is. So you have to detach the modules, re-roof, reinstall them. Well, your entire insurance claims probably 20, 30, 40,000 plus dollars. And the cost to detach and reinstall those panels probably about $200 to $250 a panel. So five, six, $7,000 in labor cost. But it's all covered at that point under your insurance coverage. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of the story behind more than likely your panels aren't damaged. But if they are, insurance is going to replace them and pay for someone to detach and reinstall the existing system.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to solar roof, what's pretty unique about solar roof is the tiles are interchangeable. So in the event of a terrible hailstorm, maybe you have a couple of broken tiles. You don't necessarily have to file your deductible and do a full roof replacement. You could maybe come out of pocket a couple $100, or maybe at the worst case a couple $1,000. A lot lower cost usually than your deductible is going to be, and you can just slide any damaged tiles out and put new ones in. We have a case study of about a baseball-sized hail hitting a solar roof in Wichita Falls. It went viral. It's on YouTube, and so anyone listening can go see that video. And there's footage that shows the before and after. That gentleman just so happened to not have any damage to his roof, but I would say we had another homeowner, just to be kind of very objective here. He's the only person out of about 70 installations we've done that has had damage from a hailstorm. It was like it was like a softball size hail,
Oh man.
super, super large. I mean, all his neighbors surrounding him had totaled everything. And he ended up, his deductible was, kind of in the $15,000 to $20,000 range. He ended up spending about $8,000, 4,000 for direct damage, and then $4,000 just to put a stockpile of materials just in case something were to ever happen again.
Mhm.
But it was still, I think, a third of the cost of his deductible.
Yeah, and these are the stories. I don't mean to start kind of with but these are the things that people get concerned about, right? Just having an EV car and getting kind of the power, what do they call it? Not power FOMO, but basically like power anxiety, excuse me, charging
Mhm.
anxiety. So taking a
Yeah.
look at this and going through your website and seeing Powerwall. Another thing that again, you're this Tesla certified dealer. The backup batteries, especially in Texas, you saw a lot of power outages over the last few years. I think this is a great, utilization and obviously what does that look like for a customer again applying this technology, being off grid potentially again with that power wall and talking about you can run everything, some say normally and then obviously dishwasher, washer, dryer, pool pump, use those sparingly. But
Mhm.
I think these are all again a great facet for readiness again, either being off the grid physically or even just, you're in your normal kind of residential neighborhood.
Yeah, so a lot of things to think about here. So let me kind of backtrack. What we do at Good Faith Energy is someone calls in and says, I'm interested in energy storage or solar energy. Well, we kind of walk them through our questionnaire to figure out what their goals are, and
Mm,
whether we can actually achieve them. And then we schedule an on-site survey. So we're not sending a salesperson out to the house yet. We send a site surveyor out to the home. This is a licensed FAA drone pilot. So they are flying a drone, and then they are also taking electrical panels off the wall, taking pictures. They're also walking around the house and taking pictures of all the nameplate ratings for the major appliances in the home. They come back into the office. That goes to the engineering department. The engineering department then performs the drone model to show exactly how many solar panels can actually be placed on the roof, and what the actual production will be. So it sounds simple, but more than often, this entire process is totally jacked up in the solar industry, and that's kind of what leads into the poor experiences. And solar is a scam. No, you just utilize the company that really didn't do their due diligence and their
Right.
homework. And so once we're done with the drone model, we do a load calculation. We look at the codes that are followed by that jurisdiction that the homeowner is in. And then we go back to them. The account executive goes back to the homeowner and says, here's how many modules I can fit on your roof. Here's how many batteries you need for a whole home backup. If you did less than that amount, here are the circuits we would have to remove from the backup configuration. How long that battery backup will last is completely dependent on you as a homeowner. And obviously, first, it's dependent on the system specs that you purchase, but also you as a homeowner, your load profile. I tell them, I built you the ship, but you're the captain. So during stormy weather, you got to navigate to shore. I can't do it for you.
Right.
I won't be there.
Yep.
So one of the nice things about load management is once you integrate that piece into the equation, the load management solution through SPAN as a smart panel makes your entire home, electrifies it, decarbonizes it. It's awesome with the solar and battery integration. And now it's giving you an algorithmic prediction on how much backup power you have available for the loads that you've set up as your must-have and your nice-to-haves. So
Yeah.
it's automatically going to load shed your non-essentials. And those are, like you said, your EV chargers, your dryer, your washer. Hey, sorry, guys, we can't run a load right now. We're going to stink up the bedroom a little bit. It's okay. But, so that's kind of the approach that we take is if you don't want to sit there and do math and say, I bought 2 power walls, that's 27 kilowatt hours. I'm drawing 2,000 watts. If I do that continuously, I have 13 and a half hours. When's the sun coming out? Oh, it's coming out in 15. I need to start. Well, you could do that, but
Right.
most people just want to have that peace of mind. That's why they're
Yeah.
making this investment. And so, yeah, I hope that
Yeah.
answered your question.
No, that's a great cycle of service. And that's exactly we're coming into this and talking to the variety of everybody having fun on just an EV bike, right? Or an e-bike, to talking about manufacturers and complexity. And that's what it is. So, you displaying at Electrify Expo is just a piece of education in that cycle of service, right? With what you're creating, if somebody's got an EV and if they live in an apartment complex or if they, don't have a garage, and because that kind of segues me into, we talk about residential, industrial, all the options you have, but, wildly popular. And again, when you purchase an EV vehicle, obviously Tesla has kind of created this norm, and now they are the norm now for a lot of the manufacturers switching over to their adapter. You do have everything up to, the what is it, level 2 charging solutions that they could that you could come get installed at their house.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. My personal opinion is, if you own a home and you have an electric car, you have a duty to power
Mm,
that electric car with clean electrons. Otherwise, you're not really contributing that much to a lower emission future. Okay,
mhm,
regardless of your affiliations or your views on, the climate is changing, and we should have a fold, approach of lowering cost, increasing reliability, and lowering emissions.
mhm.
And I think that if you own an electric car and you're going around telling people, I have no tailpipe emissions, yeah, true, but you held onto the car for a year and a half and you bought a 100 kilowatt hour battery that was super carbon intensive to manufacture, and you really haven't done anything. And then you powered that car for 2 years or whatever off of coal or natural gas.
Right.
And so I believe that that education is imperative. That like EV owners need to understand that like yes, you bought an EV, and yes, it doesn't have tailpipe emissions, but you still have an obligation to now power that electric car with clean electrons, or otherwise it's just nah. Like you
Yeah.
really haven't weaned your dependence off of fossil fuels. You haven't, and maybe that was one of your primary objectives in making the investment, right? So
Yeah.
I just think that they need to be educated on this. And not only is it about lowering their emissions, but when you add an electric car to your home's load profile, it is going to be the heaviest load in your home. More than often, it's drawing on a Tesla wall connector. You're drawing 48 amps. Multiply that by 240 volts. You're drawing almost 11,500 watts continuously. When your AC unit draws power, it's maybe 3 to 6,000 watts. On if your dryer's on, maybe 5 to 7,000 watts. Your EV is a heavy load on your home. It's a heavy load on the grid, and it's going to be a heavy dent in your pocketbook when you get that
Mm.
electric bill at the end of the month. So it's important to start understanding this is the smartest investment to make. I've already offset a lot of my transportation costs because now I don't have all the maintenance and I don't have all that
Right.
stuff. But what if I can add that bucket into my savings when I'm evaluating a solar investment and maybe a battery investment? And now maybe I can have free nights where I can charge for free at home, and I can model all of that into this new kind of way of operating with the grid and maximizing your savings. Maybe your batteries, like mine, are enrolled in the Tesla electric plan,
There we
and
go.
you're sending electricity back to the grid during the summer peaks. So everyone's complaining about big summer bills. I had a negative $100 bill this summer, you
Hey,
know,
that's the testimony
and
I was
and I
looking
could
for,
show
Mo.
it to you.
No,
Yeah,
and I look, I don't need
yeah.
to I don't need to see your bank slip. I get it. Like you're not buying it. But that's
It's
but
not on my
that
bank account.
right. And that just contributes to, again, what people's agenda is. And talking to just different guests here, and even I just came back from SEMA show in Las Vegas, and obviously EV is always part of the conversation. And Matt brings it up. He's like, we only just hit 1% worldwide of EV vehicles worldwide. And that, like, people are just, you go to SEMA show, keep them ice, internal combustion engines. But you bring up a great point, is I like the word duty. That makes sense, where you're like, hey, go off of this power. Not only is it benefiting our one planet that we have, but it's also helping you. And this is, again, there's certain touch points that you have touched on, being good faith that you are. You're saying, hey, let's deliver this, let's do this right. And what another great thing to add. I was going to get to that of, people like, oh, I sell power back and this and that. I mean, Matt's, I think he's 60% off the grid, it being in Portland. And obviously, it's not a sunny area. It's really dark up there. So, like you said, this level of conditioning that you seem to have really tapped into, either the chargers or the wall, and then just doing the full boat, right? Like you have this a la carte option, as far as, here's these panels, here's that panel, here's your reserve, here's your EV energy power. I mean, sounds like, if I lived in Texas, you're the guy to go to. I mean, it's a no brainer, and you have so many companies moving there, between Toyota, PGA. Um, it's profound, and seems like you got it dialed, man.
Well, thanks, Jared. And if you ever buy a house down here, I'll be knocking on your door. But I think the biggest gap that is currently exists in our industry is education. There's so many myths out there. There's so many misconceptions. There's a lot of fraudulent activity happening in any new industry that kind of it starts to explode overnight. One thing to just put into perspective is the solar industry has kind of taken a downturn just like most home improvement services have after interest rates went up a year ago. And so, over the last 12 months, it's been unfortunate. I've actually seen, several of my competitors no longer be able to open their doors. And I think one thing that makes us unique is we're a middle markets business. So we're not super small, but we're not super big.
Mm.
The ownership team is myself and my partner, who's a master electrician, and he runs, the operational side of the business. We have a really good yin and yang. We have really good advisors around us on the financial side and just on the business transformation and optimization side. So we really kind of view ourselves too as a clean tech business, right? We're writing code and doing integrations, and it's not just an installation business. And I think that that's what you should look for in your quote unquote installer.
Mhm.
How long can they support this system? Is it built to last? How big of a fleet do they currently manage, and how satisfied is their existing client base? Those are all things that I think consumers, regardless of whether you're going with Good Faith Energy or you live in a different state, evaluating a national company or a local company, what kind of service you're looking for, what kind of products you want installed on your home. Really double and triple confirming that the plan that's outlined by that installer can actually be done and will actually yield the results that they've promised. So those are all things I think to consider. But yeah.
And I'm, finding out more about you, Mo. This came from a passionate side. You came from the oil and gas industry. You're
I
you're
did.
traveling, you're traveling all over. So this is a call to action. Not only are you a business owner, but this is almost, let's call it what it is, giving back and more of a philanthropic effort in a kind of a weird way where I'm gonna say, you have a organization or anything like that, but reading your story there, this was you kind of saying, "Hey, I can make a difference, and this is it."
Yeah, I definitely consider ourselves a social impact organization. So,
There you
I
go.
launched the company in 2014. I had just uh, you know, exited an oil and gas job and traveled the world for a couple years, just vagabonding around Europe and Africa, and then I found myself, seeing solar modules everywhere in Germany. I looked at the sky; there wasn't a sun. I looked it up on Google, and it said Germany powers 40% of its entire country from the sun. It receives the same amount of sunlight as
Mhm.
Alaska. So I looked up Texas. We're generating less than 1% of our energy from the sun. We receive 200 and maybe 70 days a year on average of sunlight in the state of Texas, more so on the west side and so on. But for the most part, it just made so much sense to launch a solar company because you could actually have an impact on the triple bottom line. So I think that's special, right? Like when you can actually be in a business where you can make money because climate change is going to open one of the greatest economic opportunities, right? John Kerry, former Secretary of State, was delivering a speech, and I heard that, and I was like, oh my God, this is all coming together. And then in 2015, I enrolled in a social impact strategy program at the University of Pennsylvania. That really helped me start to kind of test my ideas and frameworks and do a pilot project, and then generate my first dollar in revenue. And then, yeah, I mean, the rest is history. Where you just kind of we grew the business organically, one project at a time. I partnered with Michael in 2017. I think that was a key and instrumental piece in being able to scale the business. Having someone super knowledgeable as well as being super committed to customer service, just as much as I was, and that was a huge win for the organization. So for us, like good faith is about doing what's good and faithful to the planet, like, and that's
Yeah.
definitely not adding more fossil fuels. Now, I'm not saying cut it off. I'm saying
Right.
we need to get more distributed solar and energy storage and load management in as many homes and businesses as possible.
Yeah, and I'm seeing, just going again, your website does a good job of just breaking down the different systems and getting the whole Tesla program, or even getting free night plans with the whole span system. Just all of these different, again, I think some people get intimidated, including myself, where it's like, okay, our house is built in 1956, and what does that look like? We have a flat roof. We're in California. It's education, and also, as you say, miseducation. So that's why you want to kind of elevate those people that not only just, all right, cool, you got solar, you're running clean. You're like, okay, well, why? What's next? How can I complement this? Like you say, buyback. give power back. Like you said, negative electric bill. I don't know if you guys heard that. Negative on the electric bill in Texas. And again, Texas, as you say, is such a massive market. So it's just about education and finding out what's in your area. Obviously, you're going to showcase at Electrify Expo, but I think, like you said, I think that was really sweet of you and kind of you. Like, other competitors aren't able to open their door because of this downturn. Maybe it's flooded, maybe it's whatever. You got to find the right people, right? And really, that's just business. And it's kind of analogously, it's like car dealers, right? You go in there and you're like, oh man, here we go. But a
Mhm.
car buying experience can, be decent as long as, you go in with reasonable expectations. And I think that's
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 right.
what people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm gonna sell money back. You're like, okay, hold on, pump the brakes. You got to make this investment,
Exactly.
in
Well,
order
I'm
to
going to
pay
back
off.
up my whole home and my,
Yeah,
800 amp service with four bat. No, it's not going to happen. And that's the key, right? Like, the key is having honest and experienced, I would say, knowledgeable folks that are delivering these solutions. We need some tighter regulations. I'm a huge fan of some tighter regulations in this industry. Big proponent of that, because you hear the horror stories. People that thought
mhm,
that they were going to get checks in the mail. People that weren't on the title, or someone was dead and they still pulled. I mean, it's just all types
wow,
of horror stories. But I'm not here to fear monger or scare.
no,
I think that really the goal is just to educate people and let them know there are good people out there doing this. You can have a good solar buying experience.
mhm,
It doesn't have to be from a door knocker. It doesn't
right,
have to be, right? And I think that's oh, you're in solar on another, like I literally knocked three doors in my life, and then I was like, oh, this is not cut out for me.
yeah,
I want people knocking on my door. I want them knocking
mhm,
on my door, asking me, Mo, will you please educate me on whether this is actually something that is deliverable, realistic? Help me assess this. Give me an honest assessment. And I think that's really what we built our name on. I tell people all the time, reputation's how you see me, character is how I view myself, right?
okay,
So, we have a strong character, we have great values, and we won't bend them for anything. We won't cut corners. If you want something done that's not doable, I'll be the first to give you all your money back plus some, and say, find someone else to do this. I can't do this. It's unethical, or it's not doable. And then
yeah,
you're just going to be upset with me on the back end when it doesn't work. And I told you that. So there's just it's an expectation setting thing. It's a communication thing. We also, on the back end, we have this white glove service where we send a field applications engineer to your home, Jarod, and he
mhm,
sits you down and says, okay, based off of what you bought, based off of where you live, based off of how you use electricity, this is the right plan, and here's why. And so it's not just like, oh yeah, here, thanks for spending $80,000 with us, figure it out. And that's honestly, again, what the majority of the industry is doing. We made that conscious effort to say we're going to hire a high-paying, intelligent person who's going to go out on the back end and orient you on your system. And I swear to God, it works like clockwork. He goes out to the
really,
home, he does the orientation, he asks them to fill out the survey, then he stares at him, Jarod, and he says, "Do you think you can leave me a 5-star review on Google?" And guess what happens? Most of the time they do. And so if you go to like our Google profile, it's
yeah,
just one after the next, and it's simply because we actually care about our client base,
right,
and we want them to feel heard. And that's 99% of the time. Guess
yep,
what? Do we screw up? Yeah. Do we cause leaks in someone's homes? Sure, it happens, but we fix it.
yeah,
And that's what most people want. They want to be heard. They want you to take action and resolve
mhm,
whatever issue they have. And unfortunately, a lot of that's disappeared from modern day contracting. A lot of people have this burn, right? They've been burned by a contractor at some point. They're taking it out on good faith energy every time, right? I'm
yeah,
like, guys, it's going to be okay. Like, I swear to God, if I was operating in bad faith, I'd be the world's biggest hypocrite. You know
right,
what I mean? It just
yep.
doesn't work that way here. So, yeah.
Well, hence the name Good Faith. And yeah, I mean, I again, this is something I don't even want to say. It's just a new way of thinking. It's a new way of thinking, not only just about solar, but also just the buying experience and the investment. Right, the investment is what it is. You're investing monetarily, you're investing into your planet, you're investing into the future, you're giving back to the community. I mean, there's so many different points that I'm getting educated on, and just every day, like I say, things are constantly evolving from a, you know, logistics standpoint. And as you say, the government getting involved with it, and what that looks like, and, EV charging stations, and all of it. I mean, I think we kind of touched on all. Is there anything else, Mo, that you'd like to elaborate on as far as, good faith energy and EV and anything?
Jarod, I can talk all day. I mean, we just met here a little bit ago. I don't think you want to give me an open mic. Honestly, just
Well,
want to say
I'll
thank
go,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, just want to say thank you to the audience, whoever tuned in. Hopefully, you learned a thing or two. My only, ABC always be closing moment would say, if you're on social media, please follow us. On YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a lot of educational content there. So any of you that are interested in gaining a deeper understanding, education, a lot of times you have these questions. Guess what? Most of the time, we've already answered them in a YouTube video. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing anyone that's going to be at the event next week. My team and I will be there. Let's hang out, maybe catch a bite after the meal. Throw whatever myths that you have at me. I'll play a little
Yeah.
MythBuster, character, and so yeah, I appreciate you having me on the show, and I look forward to the event next week.
Absolutely. And then, yeah, just again, your Instagram, goodfaith.energy, just those little snacks, and might be a lot, but just take it in doses. Don't be intimidated, because there's some good faith energy folks out there, again, in the Texas area, that are looking to convert your home, your, industrial, residential, all of it, man. So thank you so much, Mo, man. Again, thank you for fighting the good fight. And again, this came from a very passionate, honest, sincere place. So thank you, man.
Thank you, Jarod. Yeah, man, you're a great guy yourself, and I'll reciprocate it, man. You were pretty sweet this whole conversation. So, anything we can do for you down here in Texas, I would view us as an extension to your team.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
go. Let's get Texas Motor Speedway all powered by Tesla power. All those lights. Let's get
Let's
that thing
go,
going.
man. I'm
Right.
trying the whole damn country, baby. Let's go. I'm
Right. And
ready.
let's go over to the Star and let's get that thing EV. Right. And how about them Cowboys?
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll leave it at that.
All
We
right.
got to leave it on a
Sounds
fun note.
good.
Again,
All
Good
right,
Faith
guys.
Energy. Check them out on social network as well as YouTube, all those things. Peace. Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Electrify podcast, brought to you by the creators of Electrify Expo. Be sure to catch full video episodes on YouTube at Electrify TV and follow along on social media for daily clips and more.